updates on the New Earth process from the boots on the ground. So this has been a long time in coming, this message. And I had my awakening in 2020. And one of the things that came to me was what do now? So what happened for me in that awakening event was all the roles that I had attached myself to in one moment just evaporated. And what else evaporated was these desires that I had kind of had me moving through time. And so what I found was both exhilarating and also super frustrating, because I didn't know how to kind of animate. I didn't know how to get up and take on my days, not really being pulled towards any specific thing. All the things that I used to kind of challenge myself to do, they didn't exist. And so it's been this learning experience of going from being led by these desires to being led by inspiration and moving forward in that way. And but one theme has come to me in this, because what ended up happening was that, like, the people that were part of, like, my spiritual foundation, they also weren't connecting to me after that awakening. And so it felt like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have anybody to talk about what's happening in my world. And I've been kind of on an adventure over the last 5 years of figuring out what's happening. Like, what is the character now that I'm not really steering the character anymore towards these desires? What is my character up to? Because that was the other thing. It was like this: once you find the great I am, your, like, identity isn't wrapped up in your role and what you're doing. So I found this idea working on this idea between being able to observe, kind of see what this avatar, this little character that's just been playing in the world, what it's up to, and kind of getting a sense of what is its role, because it's still going to have a role in the world, but not really understanding. And so over, like, the last 5 or 6 months, been paying attention to seeing that a lot of the things that have come through me, the inspirations like Paradigm B, Lensafarianism, these things that I've been offering into the world, these ideas, it's a much quicker spiritual modality. And there's all these other things, and they're all tied into the same thing. And there's lots of these messages coming from so many different parts of the world. They're not the most popular thing yet, but they all have the same, like, drawing to the same conclusion, that, like, spiritual journeys, the spiritual awakenings, they can happen much quicker. Everything's accelerating, and we are moving into a new paradigm of reality. And I can feel it, I can see it, and I've used the seeds of what other people have shared as part of my creative process. And then recently I was called to just disconnect myself from those other channels. And what I mean by channels is, yes, there's some of them are channelers, and then some are just, messages that are very clearly a new way of looking at the world, a new way of exploring things with perspective rather than the old paradigm of trying to control the world to get it to fit the way that we think it should be. And so in that process, basically what I've been called to do, I'm being called to do, is to disconnect from really touching a lot of what's going on in the collective and start to find out what's coming through me. And what I know and what I learned very early was that I was a tether, and I was told, you're a tether, and I just didn't know what that meant. And I can share with you what that feels like. And it's very easy to see in this world that we're going through in this shift is we just look at the discombobulation in the world, and so it's like there's this foundation of what's true, the true reality versus the made up stories and the disillusionment and the lying and these kind of things. There's a foundation that we connect ourselves to, and it's called many things. For me, it's the now. It's our relationship is changing completely in chronological time, our relationship to chronological time. And that's also the idea of the acceleration of these modalities is going to be part of, the stories of spiritual awakening were decades of you'll never be over it, and it takes forever. It's what my mentor had taught me, is that we have to all go through these things, and these are not the messages that are coming through now. The new messages are that we get to choose. We can choose to be in this new paradigm, which I refer to as Paradigm B, and find the foundation. Find the foundation of our soul would be another way to say it. And bring those gifts, and then bring those gifts from that foundation. So what did it mean to be a tether? And I could feel this inside of me, is that I'm tethered to this foundation, and that this makes me a safe human, in that people can connect with me, with my messages, and in any kind of form. It doesn't need to necessarily be friendship. It just can be knowing that this is another entity that's connected to this foundation. Because as we're going through this awakening process, we can see this discombobulation, and it's accelerating, and people are becoming more disillusioned. They're becoming unhinged with the old systems that were in place. And this, if we just think of the discombobulation that happens, is that the foundation that they were moving their lives in wasn't the core essence of the universe. It was not the soul's mission. It's been trying to put the world together through our minds, and then we've created all these stories about the past and the future and what it should look like, and these kind of things. And so we can see this new world, as this new world is ushering in, there will be people that will tether, that are tethered, that will find what I could describe as the true heart, not the rational heart, but the true heart, the foundation of reality itself. And you could say it in a million different ways. And that's what's exciting, is we can see that the same things that I've been able to see, is that the same things that other people are picking up on, they're picking up on them with different language and different ways of looking at it. And so my role is, like, I love there's a Rumi quote, wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. And what that means to me as a tether is that people can tether to my messages. People can tether to me personally, can reach out and connect to me as a safe human. And the things that I'm attending to are soul matters, not the ego matters. And so people who want a foundation, or perhaps they're still being pulled and drawn into the drama of this shifting world, they have a place that they can take a break and they can pull themselves back. And I would say, if I had to offer anything to anybody listening to this message, is to begin to pull yourself away from the discombobulating stories, which is people. And it's very, very salient now, and that's the beautiful thing. It's scary, but it's also beautiful in that it's so easy to see how people's foundation was put together from prejudice and from hate, and people creating meaning around their rightness, all rooted in fear and in anger and in hate. And we're leaving that. And some people are going to believe that foundation is what they should follow, continue to hold on to and cling to. And then there are going to be people who go, okay, and this is one of the things I found was like, this is a cartoon world, and these are cartoon characters, and they're not leading us to this new world. They're not leading these ideas for the new world. So one of the things that I really see coming online is that we're sharing with each other much more. We're becoming more brave, stepping forward to share what we're finding. And and these things are all going to be novel. And that's the interesting part, is that these are going to be novel. They're going to be new. And so whenever something new is coming in to be birthed, it's like the old is going to want to hold on, to the foundation of it. And so that's why people sometimes will not, or they're not ready to vocalize, man, I'm having some strange things happening in my life. But there's people like me that are going, it's okay. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff. And that's the other beautiful thing about this wild, crazy time, is that a lot of these modalities and things are surfacing, and they don't look so crazy to us anymore, because it's like we see so much crazy everywhere else. It's like we can look at other things. We're starting to look at it with fresh eyes and going, okay, that doesn't seem so crazy anymore. These ideas of connecting to the soul, to the higher self, focusing our attention on now and presence and awareness. So there's an excitement in the air, but there's also what I find is that I can't get too out in front of myself. And so this is where it comes down to what I'm being shown is the relationship, this kind of soft relationship with chronological time. In the old systems that are coming down, we were very affixed. And a lot of the disparaging ideas, what I would call negative, buoyant messages that people are attaching themselves to, is that they're seeing these systems collapsing and they're thinking, oh my God, it's going to take hundreds of years to reverse the things that we're moving towards. And that's the thing that we need to understand, is that everything can accelerate so much quicker, and especially when we're attached to the core essence of reality, of our soul, and finding that foundation, and that's where we put our attention. But the cool thing is that people are sharing these things that are coming out, and these are all kind of, the way that I see it, it's like we're all like a cosmic jigsaw puzzle. And where before we were sharing everything, our messages, we would, if it was monetarily worthy, then those things get shared. And what we're seeing now is that we're just having people show up in our lives, and they're sharing their stories, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, you had the same experience, but you say it in a different way. And so and then we are getting sprinkled with these seeds of what this new earth is going to be, what is going to be like. What's it going to be like when we don't have such a dense egoic structure? What's it going to be like when we're organizing ourselves from our hearts, from wanting the best for our neighbors, for wanting the best for this reality? And we have to look past that egoic center that's saying, I want this. It's like, that's what I see that as, is like this needy child was the egocentric world. And as that breaks down, it's like, yeah, but what do we do with our time? How do we move forward in time? Well, we're being sprinkled with these seeds, and they're coming from lots of different places. People that have been saying it for years are starting to become popular, and then there's new people that are just saying it, and they're saying it in different ways. And hopefully, you're finding these things and you're connecting these things, like I am. And I do on my website have what I call the prospector page, where I'm showing the things that I'm finding. And it's making me realize in this discussion that I'd like to offer more of those kind of things, and start reaching out. Reach out to people that seem to be holding on to some other sense. They're trying to hold on to this other deeper foundation rather than constantly being stuck in the drama and the discombobulation that the egocentric world is going through right now. So what is my role in all of this? What is my little avatar bringing to this world? And it seems to be a co-creative process with my partner Chelsea, and we are finding these modalities that are pulling our minds, pulling these seeds of thought into new expressions and ways of being in the world, and how we will connect in community. So we can see that what happened to the population is we began to look, we see our own personal problems, but we projected our problems out. In the United States, we projected them. We put so much of our attention at so far away from us. So I'm living in Arizona, and if I'm projecting into Washington, D.C. on all the things that are happening there, I'm so far disconnected from the community that I have right around me. So if you still are called to politics, it's like, at least bring it closer to town, to as local as you can be, and make sure your energy is actually useful, because that's really what is happening with people just marinating their minds by projecting all their fears, sitting there waiting for their person to win or to lose or to mess up so that everybody will agree to their prejudice and to their hate. We can pull away from all of that stuff, and that's my highest recommendation if you want to be part of the new world. You want to be connected and have a foundation that's deeper, and to start kind of considering relationships that you don't necessarily need. This is how I feel in my life. I have people in my life that have always that have stayed out on the periphery. I don't spend a lot of time connecting to them, but they will tap in to my world every now and again. It usually has something to do with they are making some kind of personal change in their life, and they just tap in because they see me and they have watched me be a foundation of not flailing about and being discombobulated and disoriented in this world. They can see that I have a a foundation in something that isn't necessarily of the old world, but they see something new happening. So if you have people in your life that's like, sometimes you just like, maybe their messages get itchy and scratchy to you, but you just have a sense of safety with them. You just connect with them, and you can connect with them on so many different levels. You can connect with them if they do social media, website. These are the things that you can connect to me. You can just get in touch with me, and I do private sessions. I do, but that's the other thing is, this is a new modality that I'm learning on what I'm going to be offering to the world, because I was a psychotherapist and recognized that I was not I was not as effective as I could have been. And it wasn't because of what I was offering, but it was what people wanted when they came to me. They wanted to find a foundation within the egoic structure when I'm trying to, where my messages are pulling people to it. So sometimes I just give my phone number out, and then people can just tap in if they're going through a discombobulated time. They can often just maybe need a seed to switch and look at things from a different perspective. And that's the thing. Like I can remember lots of times, people said, they've taken me to lunch, and they've told me that what they got with me was better than 6 months of their therapy sessions, their counseling sessions. And it's because I'm focused more directly to the foundational aspect of things and focusing people's attention there, whereas counseling often is like talk therapy and kind of working through things on a much slower and basis. And people who come to me know that I'm going to bring their attention. But I also feel that there's a lot of people that are scared of the things that I'm sharing, because it doesn't have to do with me. It's what they know would change and how much that they would change in their life. So if you are looking for that seed, if you're looking for just a different way to look at things, that's a great thing. It's like one of the things is we know we want to be a loving being. It's like, how do you do that? And Lenzafarianism is about, how do I love this person because they did this to me? And it's like, okay, there's many different ways to look any kind of situation. And if we can get our mind to know this new way of looking at things, then we won't have what we call, we won't be spellbound. We won't have cursed context, to where it's like you wake up and you keep having this, what I would call a negative, buoyant relationship or interactions with people. And that has to do with our head too. Like if we're monitoring our awareness and our presence, then in order to have that, we need to find at least a neutral, buoyant place. That would be like being completely present and being connected, and then looking at positive buoyancy, where things feel the sensations that we have coming through us are of a positive buoyancy. It's kind of the same thing. You could look at it as the idea of grief. If we take our sorrow story and we never process our grief or our sorrow, they become a negative. It's like a weight that we carry with us. But we can reframe that when we understand that we can look at grief from a different point of view. That grief turns into a different sensation. There was an example that came to me. It was the word aloneness or loneliness came to me, and weirdly, my association to the word loneliness sparked a beautiful, buoyant sensation within me. And I was like, oh, wow. And that got me thinking about, did I change my association with loneliness altogether? Because loneliness now to me feels like seclusion. It feels like the now. It feels like presence. It feels like awareness. And those are really great sensations. So that's what we can do when we start to shift our mindset, is we will be letting go of old belief systems and moving into these new belief systems. It's just, and then you get to a point where you don't hold on to beliefs. You will feel like your beliefs are part of the process of chronological time and being in chronological and all the other kinds of time. To give you an example, it would be like Kairos time, which is that sense where 15 minutes can feel like 4 hours. Like when you were a kid, we really understood Kairos time. And so presence, that would be what's happening, is when we're tapped in to Kairos time, we lose this connection to chronological time. And so a lot of people are going through that shift. And it's like, this is finding, and Chelsea and I are starting to find the people that we can have connection with, and people that want to have deeper conversations. And what is a deeper conversation? It's like, it's when you can sit and have your beliefs challenged without anger and needing other things to be wrong in order for your belief to be right. And so when you find those kind of people, it's like you're always talking about something buoyant or neutrally buoyant, like seeding each other with this new excitement about this new earth, and the excitement about what can be. And I think that's really a big part of this, is that we're all going to be seeded, and we're going to be seeding each other, but we're not going to be competitive about sharing with each other. We're going to be excited to share. Wow, I just came up with this, and wow, this came through me, and I don't even know where it came from, but I'm excited about it. It makes me excited about everything else, and we start to see the cosmic jigsaw puzzle with all of us getting reformed and re-put together, but this time with a solid foundation, which is basically just now presence. It's completely organizing our minds in a different way. There won't be as much suffering and far more perspective. That's what the abundance is going to be. The abundance is going to be overflowing abundance of perspective, and it's and that's part of the kind of the journey that we've all been on, is connecting with these new things and trying to integrate them with the old things and understand those kind of things. And so it's like we are being in the discombobulation of the egoic structure breaking apart. There's also the discombobulation of these new things and this novelty coming in and being like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, this information doesn't make sense. But the thing is that we can start looking at those seeds and just being like, okay, I don't need to believe everything to be true. I can just feel into these new ideas as they come in. And that's what is really going to shift in this new world, is we will be much more connected to our sensories. How do we feel? And the sensory connections that we'll be making. And that's this new world. Because if you think about the egoic structure, what's happening is they're saying, no, that's not right, this is not right, and they're lying, and this is, and everybody's pointing fingers. In this new way of being, it's going to be like, hey, I heard this, and that kind of connected to your idea, and I know you speak a different language than I do, and what does that look like in your life? And then somebody, we've been getting seated with powerful audios of talking about what, this new earth and these channelings and what it could look like. And it isn't that it's all just going to, the way that I see it is that it's not all just going to come in and everybody just knows exactly what to do. It's that we're going to get really, really cooperative in sharing this information, and then these new seeds are going to begin to be thrown into this pot, and then we're going to be going, oh yeah, I know, I've got this skill, and it's weird that I was able to do this, and I had this experience in life, so I can be I know how to handle this, or I know how to put this together. We need a video, or we need structure for planting, or permaculture, or whatever these new seeds are coming in. It'll be that we can hold our own foundation without needing to scream about what beliefs are wrong and are just stupid. We'll start to accept things and not need to believe that they're absolutely true, but that they are just parts of a bigger puzzle. And through more awareness, we're all going to be able to harness these seeds of the new world and act upon them in our own unique way. What we've done, if you've noticed that it isn't just going to be the monks that have been meditating on the side of the earth. It's going to be even prisoners and prisons are waking up, and people all over the place are waking up, but they're waking up in different unique fashions, and we're all finding what our little seed is, and what we're going to bring and blossom into the world. So what I'd like you to take from this, if you take anything, is that you've connected with a soul, a safe soul, a tether that understands what tethering means, what it means to have a true heart, and that you are welcome here. And I'm part of the new world that is surfacing. And if you find yourself in discombobulating times, I'm here. We're here. There's not just me. There's lots and lots of other people who are waking up to all of this. And so I'm really excited. I'm excited for you, the listener. I'm excited for this whole new reality and all this fresh bread that is being birthed into our world. So, and we're going to speak to each other like wording here. I'll give you this last thing because I'm going to be signing off here. One of the things that feels really good to me, because I've struggled. I've always really felt connected to Jesus' message of loving everybody, but I had a hard time finding, like if I say, I wish good things to like an enemy or people who are doing I can see are doing destructive things. I'm like, that would mean that I'm agreeing with the things that they're doing. And so a piece of language that has been so good for me is wishing everybody wellness, or wishing everybody well. And in this, wellness is wholeness. And it's the whole self, not just the egocentric character that plays out in the world, but I'm wishing for wellness and wholeness for all beings. And so if that's something that feels good to you, you can start using that when your mind wants to analyze people and analyze their behavior, but you can't disconnect from their true essence as well. And that's the thing, is we have to get into cahoots with everything. We have to be okay with everything that is a character that's being played out, and then our mission becomes to make the most beautiful choice, and not be connected to the idea of duality, which is there's going in every situation there is a right and a wrong way to do things. And you can see that the egoic structure was that was what it was focused upon. It was focused upon right and wrong, and putting those orders up, and then you can see it just playing out in politics at this just crazy level, which is beautiful in the sense that we get to see it in plain broad daylight. So if you want a little bit of inner peace, wish everybody well, wish wellness and wholeness onto the world, and from that place also the vibration that I send out from that place to every single person, whether it's somebody that is an antagonist to my messages or to my character, I can pass it out to everybody. Anyway, all right, beautiful soul, I wish you well.